Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your March 2018 Astro Update. It's Rena here. So, Cancer, as I was compiling this list of transits for you in March, I was thinking, wow, if there are any Cancers out there who are professors, I would think that this would be an amazing month for you because you have a lot of activity in your ninth and your 10th houses. So the 10th house is the house of career. But the ninth house is the house of the higher mind, and this includes university level teaching as well as learning. So I suppose if you are a student, you might be learning abroad because the ninth house is also foreign travel. But I think it's more along the lines of academia because of the 10th house progression. So that would be really exciting for you. And, the only thing about it is that March is a time when typically it's, in the middle of a semester or at the end of a semester, not necessarily something that you would be beginning unless, people have to line up their teaching gigs far in advance, which is a possibility as well. So let me just start at the beginning. There's a full moon on the first of the month, the second of the month in some places, and this is at 11 degrees of Virgo. And for you, this is the third house of communication, siblings, so any kind of family, siblings and cousins. But the other thing that the third house can be is your local area. So if you're going to be moving and you're leaving that area, that could be you saying goodbye. But it can be something to do with teaching or learning. So again, maybe you learn of this opportunity to teach. And maybe you find out about it on the internet because that's the third house too. It's also possible that you are finished with some kind of a training. Maybe you needed to get a teaching certificate or something like that, and you've got your credentials for that. On the 6th, both Mercury and Venus are going into that 10th house. So Mercury is your mind, and so there again, we have something where your mind is connected. There's an intellectual connection to your career. And with Venus there, it can bring financial gain. So until the 6th and coming from February, you've had Mercury and Venus in that 9th house. And sometimes this can mean that maybe you're studying abroad or teaching abroad and you fall in love with somebody from a different country. Can also be gain financially through teaching and through writing, publishing. In the 10th house, it's really like allowing you to communicate in a very charming manner, in a very pleasing manner to others. And this can increase your popularity because Venus in the 10th house as a transit can indicate popularity with the public at large. And of course, that could boost your career as well. On the 17th, Mars goes into Capricorn, and this is your 7th house of committed partnership, your opposite house, opposite sign to you. So for the first half of the month, Mars in Sagittarius is a 6th house transit, and this may have made Cancer people really physically active in some way or the other. Now, I want to ask you, Cancer, do you consider yourself a sign that is physically active? I always think of Cancer as the crab that likes to kind of amble along. So maybe walking or even swimming being a water sign. But this is very vigorous activity. So I'm curious a lot of you like to move fast, but you may feel compelled to be doing something to improve your health on the physical level during the first half of the month. And then Mars in that 7th house can indicate some sort of conflict with a partner. Maybe you want to move abroad and your partner doesn't, and you want to do it for your career. But Mars in the 7th can mean that your partner is game and wants to travel with you and is being very active with you. By the way, Mars in the 6th house can also indicate some kind of conflict in the workplace. So that's always a possibility as well. On the 17th, there is a new moon at 26 Pisces, and this is in that 9th house. So you might actually solidify those plans, those travel plans, and you're good to go. Or you accept the offer from the university. Or you are beginning a new course of study that connects to something spiritual, like maybe you're training to be a yoga teacher or something along those lines. So this is, the interesting thing about this is the same day as Mars going into that 7th house. So there may be some developments that connect with your marriage where you're going to be traveling all over the place as a couple, and something with that new moon. On the 31st, Venus leaves the 10th house of career and goes into the 11th house of hopes and wishes and your friendships and group associations. So Venus in the 11th house can give you, if you're single, you may find love through your friendships or through the groups that you belong to. You may meet somebody in either of those areas. It can also somehow allow you to attract money to fulfill a long desired goal or dream of yours. On the same day, you have that blue moon, the second full moon in a month, at 10 degrees of Libra, falling in your 4th house of home and family. So if you are going to be traveling abroad, you may be selling your home, and this is the time when the home sells. Now, I have to mention this Mercury retrograde, which is actually happening on the 22nd of the month, and falling in that 10th house of career. So there may be something that you're rethinking regarding your career, and I can't remember when Mercury goes direct. I want to say April 6th, but that doesn't sound right because usually I don't think that's 3.5 weeks. It has to be at least 3.5 weeks. So sometime before mid-April, the Mercury will be in that 10th house. I actually looked it up, though, and believe it or not, it's going to be there until the 15th of April. And that's the time when there is a new moon in Aries. So on the same day that Mercury turns direct. So then you have a new moon in that 10th house. So there's something, you may have like second thoughts about something connected to your career, and it might have to do with traveling abroad. Maybe not for like an academic position. Maybe it's some contract work or, whatever. But then you come to some sort of decision about mid-April, and, when Mercury goes direct, and then you have a new moon on that same day. So it's like bingo, okay? So with that full moon in the 4th house, you could be saying goodbye to a house and picking up shop and moving somewhere else. And it could be also finding out information about your mother, your family of origin in general. You've had a full moon in the 3rd house as well, a month earlier. So hopefully this isn't that you've stopped talking to your siblings and your mother, because, full moons can bring endings, but it can simply be connected to your house and your neighborhood, that you are closing a chapter in your life in that area. And for Cancer, that is not small potatoes, because you are very sentimental, and anything that smacks of an ending is going to be more difficult for you. You tend to cling to the past. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for you. But yeah, there's a lot of activity with your career this month, and so it looks good. By the way, I should have said too that the sun goes into your 10th house a couple of days before that Mercury retrograde on March 20th. And that, of course, is the vernal equinox, or the time when in the northern hemisphere we go into the spring. So anyway, Cancer, I hope you enjoyed this. I wish you all the best in March. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, take care. Bye.